Alright, so y'all go ahead and do the factoring and the math knowledge question, pause the video, and then once everyone is finished, you can unpause the video and I'll go over the correct answers. So for the factoring, you should have x plus 16 times x plus 2. For the math knowledge question, this angle here is x plus 20, and we are looking for this one. So we know that x plus 20 plus the angle CAD has to equal 90 degrees, because together they make a right angle. They are complementary. So if you subtract 20 and you subtract x, the measure of angle CAD is going to be 70 minus x, which is B. So that would be your answer. We are looking at lesson 39 today. We're going to be looking at inequalities in a triangle. So hopefully after this lesson, you'll understand how inequalities in a triangle work. Theorem 39.1. If one side of a triangle is longer than another side, then the angle opposite the first side is larger than the angle opposite the second. So let's look here. If this side is 15 and this side is 8, this angle is going to be bigger than this one. And you can tell this is going to be an obtuse angle based on the look, and this one is an acute angle. But the side that is longer is opposite the bigger angle. Likewise, theorem 39.2, if you have one angle that's larger than another angle, the side opposite the first angle is longer than the side opposite the second angle. So if I look at this triangle here, this angle is 100 and this one is 50. So this side is going to be bigger than this one because it's opposite the larger angle. Okay? So we want to order the sides in PQR from greatest to least. So the first thing you need to do is find this third angle. So we know all three of them add up to 180. So if you do 180 minus 108 minus 32, you're going to get 40 degrees. So the largest angle is 108. So that means that the largest side is going to be PQ. The next largest angle is 40. So the next side that we're going to write is PR. And then the smallest angle is 32, which is opposite of QR. So that would be from greatest to least. Now for the angles, we start with the largest side, which is 12, and that's opposite angle E. The next largest side is 10, so that's opposite angle F. And then the smallest side is 6, which is opposite angle D. So that would be your angles from largest to smallest. Okay, so now we're going to look at theorem 39.3, the exterior angle inequality theorem. The measure of an exterior angle is greater than the measure of either remote interior angles. And so we're going to prove that in the next example. We want to prove that angle 4, the exterior angle, is greater than angle 1 or angle 2. So from the definition of angle, the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2 must both, or must each, be greater than 0 degrees, because otherwise it wouldn't be an angle. From the exterior angle theorem, we know that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is going to be equal to the measure of angle 4. So since neither one of these can be 0, the measure of angle 4 has to be greater than the measure of angle 1 or the measure of angle 2, because together they add up to the measure of angle 4. So that's the proof for the theorem 39.3. Now we're going to look at the triangle inequality theorem. We actually talked about this briefly with a math knowledge question towards the beginning of the year, which I'm sure y'all don't remember, and that's okay. But the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle have to be greater than the length of the third side. So you're going to take the two smaller sides of your triangle and add them up, and they always have to be bigger than the third side. So looking here, we want to determine if these could form a valid triangle. So do the smaller two sides add to be greater than the third side? Is 6 plus 14 greater than 20? No, it's equal to it. It's not greater than. So that is not a triangle. If it equals it, it's not a triangle. It has to be greater. Okay, is 17 plus 8 greater than 22? Yes. So this does form a triangle. And then on this last one, the smaller sides are 14 and 10. Is that greater than the third side? No. So that does not form a triangle. So that's how it works. So now we want to find the range of values for this one. So let's say that x is the biggest side. If x were the biggest side, 19 plus 12 would have to be greater than x. So that would be 31 has to be greater than x. But that's if x is the biggest side. Let's say that x is not the biggest side. Let's say it's the smallest side. So then if x were the smallest side, the other side that's small is 12, and they would have to be greater than 19, which means that x would have to be greater than 7. So either 31 is greater than x or x is greater than 7. So when we put that in one inequality, 7 is less than x is less than 31. And so that would be the range of values there, because we don't know. X could be the biggest side, or it could be the smallest side, or something in between. We're not really sure. Okay, so now we're going to look at this one. A triangular course has two sides that are 10 and 14. What are the range of distances for the third side? So this is very similar to what we just did. So we'll make it x. It doesn't have to be x. You can pick whatever variable you want. So if x is the biggest side, then that means that 10 plus 14 has to be bigger than x. So x would have to be less than 24. If x is the smallest side, then x plus 10 would have to be greater than 14. So x would have to be greater than 4. So our values are between 4 and 24. So that would be your answer. Okay, so let's see if y'all can do these practice problems. And then y'all pause the video, and once y'all are finished, I'll go over them. For the math knowledge question, for the first one, I'm sorry. We're going to do 180 minus 85 minus 35 and get 60 degrees. So we want to go from least to greatest. So the smallest angle is 35, which is opposite side EF. And then we're going to have side DE, and then we're going to have side DF. So that would be your answer for that one. For the angles, from least would be Q to P to greatest angle R. So that would be your answer for that one. Okay, let's look at these two. Let's see if y'all can do them by yourself, and then we'll go over them. So y'all pause the video real quick. We want to show that the exterior angle at Z is greater than the measure of X or Y. We know that the measure of angle X plus the measure of angle Y equals the measure of angle A. And so X is 70 and Y is 50. So that means that angle A would have to be 120. And 120 is greater than 70 or 50. So that's really all you need to say to show that it is bigger. Okay, so now we're going to look at D. We want to find the range of values. If X is the biggest side, that would mean that 215 plus 165 would have to be greater than it. So 215 and 165 adds up to 380. And so X would have to be less than 380. Or if X were the smallest side, the other smaller side is 165, and they would have to be greater than 215. So if you subtract, X would have to be greater than 50. So if you put that into one inequality, 50 feet is less than X, which is less than 380 feet. Okay, so now we're going to look at our challenge question. We want to use the triangle inequality theorem to write a paragraph proof for this common expression. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So you'll pause the video and then go over it, and then unpause the video and I'll tell you the correct answer. Alright, so I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to write it out. But one way that you could explain this one is that there are two ways to get from A to B. One way is directly along the path from A to B, along that line from A to B. The other is to go by way of a point C, which is not on your line. So you can go from A to B this way, or you can go up to C and then go through it. If the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, then that means that AC plus CB has to be greater than AB. And that is proven by the triangle inequality theorem. So the shortest distance is always going to be the straight line between your two. Okay, so your homework is 1 through 30, so make sure y'all do those tonight so we can go over your questions tomorrow.